Despite breaking his cheekbone in true Colin McRae style, he was back 20 days later in San Remo.
I made the decision sort of a day after Corsica that I would get back in the car, and that's what the goal was. No matter what the doctor said, at the end of the day, in that situation, the doctor's always going to err on the side of caution. And unless he had said there was absolutely, medically, no way that he should be back in the car, then that was the only thing that was going to stop me doing it.
And unsurprisingly, number 9 isn't the last we'll see of Colin McRae in our top 10 roundup. First, though, to number 8 in our countdown, and to be fair, we think it's spectacular enough just to show it to you unadorned. Number 8, Andreas Mikkelsen, Rally GB, 2007. The Norwegian was philosophical about his accident.
We must hit something on the inner side of the corner, so the car hit up over that crest, and we rolled a couple of times. So that's something we just have to learn from to next time.
Luckily for Andreas, this stage in Rally GB is renowned.
I think Andreas' accident on Rally GB was obviously a similar area to where Marcus and Francois Delacour had all gone previously. So it was a renowned place, but I think again Andreas was, he was obviously going very well. It was great to see him in the new shape Focus, but he just got, again, he got caught out. I think maybe someone else had clipped the big bale prior to him arriving on the scene, which had then moved it back a little bit. But of course, hidden in behind there was a big rock. And of course, he just caught it, and it launched him into a very, very spectacular roll. But these are the sort of things that they can happen, and it's just unfortunate.
Want to see it again? Pretty impressive, we think. Remember, at the time he was just 18 years old, and this was only his first year in the WRC. Also remember that Rally GB is a notoriously tricky event, even catching out the best of drivers, as we're about to find out. Now, imagine you are one of the best rally drivers in the world. Imagine you're driving one of the best rally cars in the world. Imagine you're coming into the final event of the year, your home rally, as favourite to win that title. You know the competition is fierce. You're up against 4-time world champion Tommy Mäkinen, 2-time world champion Carlos Sainz, and your arch rival Richard Burns. And you know the ball is in your court. What would you do? Well, maybe when we say it's Colin McRae and the answer is number 7 in our top 10, perhaps we've given it away.
Basically, it was whoever won the rally was going to win the championship. And, for rally fans all over the world, that was a great situation.
We'd been trying so hard and finished runner-up, I think, 3 times, in the few years that we'd been doing it. And as you can imagine, we were so desperate. We'd always been planning up to this one day to get everything in place. But, we felt we got to the point, 2001, 2002, that we were, ready to win the championship.
And the man to do that was Colin McRae. As we've already said, there was no go slow for the Scot. He was on a mission, as his co-driver was all too aware of.
I knew we were trying hard because he was using so much of the inside of the corners as well as so much of the outside of the corners, carrying so much speed.
5 left plus cut.
I knew that the car was going to go deeper into the apex than what I had wanted it to. But you make that split-second decision to let it go, or you try and correct it, and there was space and time to correct it. But I made the decision to go with the line the car was going to take.
Into 6.
Unfortunately, in this case, it was probably 10 miles an hour too quick, probably 12 inches too much into the right, hit a bank, and that was it. And we ended up pirouetting through the air, and I remember bouncing on the road, on the roof, and then it leapt into the air. And you could see road, trees, sky, road, trees, sky, trees. And I was thinking, my God, where are we going to end up?
I knew at the time that the impacts that we were taking, the car wasn't going to drive again. So, I knew even before the accident had ended that was the championship going.
Back at base, the boss was far from impressed.
I don't think you got enough bleeps here on your camera. No, it went something like, oh, bleep my bleep God, you know, something like that. But no, I mean, it was just so heart-destroying when it happened, basically.
It was a great disappointment for the whole team and for him as well. But you know, we obviously those 3 years he'd been with us, we'd all put a tremendous amount of effort, and we could really see that championship trophy. But sadly, it wasn't to be.
Colin McRae was famous for many things, but losing that championship will probably go down as the most gutting. We'll leave you with one more replay of number 7, the most spectacular crashes. Still to come, some massive impacts, some huge rolls, and of course, number 1 in our rundown of the top 10. Have you worked out what it's going to be yet? Join us after the break. Welcome back to Top 10 Spectacular Crashes. We've already seen the first 4 in our rundown, so now for number 6. Rally fans around the world may have voted this next crash as only number 6 in their most spectacular crashes, but a lot of people in the rally world see it as the worst the sport has seen.
For me, it was terrifying. When I got there, it was like an aircraft accident.
Francois' accident was massive. The car was just destroyed.
The car was completely dislocated, and there was the engine one side and the chassis the other side.
I think it was good luck to be still alive.
When Rally Australia was based on the west coast, it had a fearsome reputation, and for 2 consecutive years, Francois Delacour and co-driver Daniel Gratteloup had serious accidents. The first came with Ford in 2001.
The previous year, he had a really big accident with us where Daniel was injured, and of course that was something that nobody likes to see. It's quite unusual, but you see the trees and everything in Australia are really close to the road, and it's very easy to have big side impact.
A nasty accident for the French pairing, but it's the following year that is number 6 and the one that sticks in people's memories.
It was the very first part in Murray Pines. It was after a left bend, slow left bend, and after you have 1 kilometer nearly flat out. And immediately after this place, Colin had an accident 2 years before with a Ford, huge accident.
Colin's crash is immense, and clearly it was on Daniel's mind as he drove past 2 years later.
And just when I was telling the left space note to Francois, I was thinking about this accident of Colin. But in that left corner, Francois got too early. So we took out the wheel of the car on this tree stump, and the car went straight into the forest, and I thought it was finished. After a few seconds, a shock of 88 G during very, very little time, I realized I was still alive.
Due to problems with their cars just 100 metres further down the stage, fellow competitors Richard Burns and Armin Schwartz ran back down the stage and were next on the scene.
We had this almighty bang, and you know, lots of people shouting whatever, so we ran along to where Francois and Daniel were, and it's like an aircraft crash. I mean, it was just incredible.
Shut the stage now.
I remember that our navigators, they took care about Daniel, you know, to give him a stable position. Richard and I have been running around to get cell phone contact, what luckily exists there, and we call into Rally HQ, get a rescue helicopter out there. Yeah, we slow other cars down, you know, and we calm Francois down, and then luckily the helicopter came quite soon after we called.
An accident like this was only going to happen in a place like Rally Australia because of its unique conditions.
The trees are always very close to the road in Australia. It's not like a traditional forest as we know it in Europe, where you have a ditch and a fire break and then the trees. Trees are right on the road, and the road weaves through the trees. Any small error and you impact a tree which has not got much give.
I can't imagine how violent that accident must have been to actually do that, because I mean, you know, you could get hold of a car with a crane and sling it around and you wouldn't be able to do that, so the impact must have been absolutely incredible.